back to another episode of Wickedly Judged, where we expose the flaws in our justice system and fight for meaningful reform. I'm your host, Rebecca, and today we're bringing you the devastating story of Markale Lundy, a man sentenced to 22 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. This case is a prime example of how easily the justice system can fail us. For 2 months, the victims of this crime described the perpetrators as two white men. Markale, a black man, was later accused and convicted based on discredited DNA evidence and a trial where his public defender failed to call witnesses who could have cleared his name. Today, we'll hear directly from Markale himself in an exclusive pre-recorded interview where he shares his story, the injustices he's faced, and his ongoing fight for freedom. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Veteran Alliance, for supporting this episode. Veteran Alliance is committed to empowering veterans and their families through advocacy and resources. Their support allows us to continue shining a light on cases like Markale's. Thank you, Veteran Alliance. I also want to give a special thank you to JP Verse of Versifier Records for providing our intro and outro music. JP, your work is incredible, and we're so grateful for your support in helping us set the tone for these important conversations. Markale's story is one that will leave you angry, heartbroken, and motivated to take action. How does someone get convicted when the victims initially identified two completely different suspects? How does a prosecutor bury evidence that could exonerate an innocent man? And how does a public defender refuse to call witnesses who could change the outcome of a trial? These are all questions we'll explore today. But we want to also hear from you. If you know a case that deserves attention, visit our website at wickedlyjudged.com to submit it, or you can email us at wickedlyjudged@gmail.com. Your submissions are vital to our mission of exposing injustice and advocating for reform. In 2014, Markale Lundy was convicted of aggravated robbery, kidnapping, attempted murder, and aggravated burglary in Ohio. He was sentenced to 22 years in prison. But here's the thing. For 2 months, the victims of this crime described the perpetrators as two white men. Markale, a black man, was later accused, and the case against him was built on shaky evidence that was ultimately discredited. The prosecution claimed that Markale's DNA was found on the ropes used to tie up one of the victims. However, that information was later proven false, and the prosecutor buried the evidence that discredited their own claims. This wasn't a case of oversight. It was intentional misconduct. Markale's public defender failed him in every way imaginable. He refused to call witnesses, even expert witnesses who had been subpoenaed and could have testified in Markale's defense. This lack of effort and advocacy left Markale with no real chance of proving his innocence. Now that you have the background, it's time to hear directly from Markale Lundy. In this pre-recorded interview, Markale shares his story, the injustices he's faced, and the impact this wrongful conviction has had on his life. Let's listen. How are you doing, Mr. Lundy?
Okay. How you doing? I'm fine. I was just making sure I had the right number.
Yes, sir.
And your name is, because my mom never told me your name.
My name is Rebecca.
Rebecca. Okay. How you doing, Miss Rebecca?
I am good. How about yourself?
Well, under the circumstances and situation, I'm still okay. My spirit is still high.
Good. Now this
Say
may...
it again. I'm sorry.
I said that's the way you got to stay. You got to stay positive. You got to keep your spirits up, and you got to have everything right in your soul.
I agree.
So let me tell you a little bit about me first, and then we'll dive right into the interview.
Okay.
I started this podcast, Wickedly Judged, because my best friend of over 30 years, who is also my fiance, was wrongfully convicted. He's been in almost 20 years now. I've been fighting his case with him. He knows of you because he was in Lucasville with you.
Oh, okay.
So when I told him that your mom had reached out and told him a little bit about the case, he was like, you need to take his case because, I've heard enough about it. He didn't do it. And I was like, okay, well, I remember the case when it happened. I remember watching it. I remember reading about it and everything. So I was like, okay, well, I'll start the process and let's see where it goes. But he was like,
Are you from Columbus?
No, I'm from...
No, continue. I'm sorry.
We're from Middletown, so I'm not that far away from you.
Okay.
But I'm a true crime junkie, I guess you could say. So I watch the news, and when I see a story, on the news, I start reading everything I can about it. But I remember when this happened when your case happened. I remember it. I remember reading about it, watching, news snippets on it and everything, and something from the get-go just didn't sit right with me.
I'm glad somebody was paying attention because that judge, that prosecutor, that jury was not at all.
No, they weren't. Because you were the easy target, and they didn't want to admit that they had the wrong suspect from the get-go.
No, they just wanted to be anything but two white guys, from what the girl said. They wanted that to be anything but two white guys, and they jumped on it.
Oh, absolutely. I have found in doing research and stuff with some of the other cases that I've handled that the minute the prosecutor or the detectives fix their eyes on something or someone, they don't look any further. So for whatever reason, they set their eyes on you. They did not care where the evidence went. They made sure that the evidence fit their narrative, because nowadays it's not about guilt or innocence. It's about a conviction rate. And as long as somebody was convicted, they don't care who it was. Whether the person was guilty or not, it does not matter, because, during that time it was coming up close to an election year, so they have to keep the community safe, or at least appear like they're keeping the community safe. So whoever they can get convicted is who they convict. And I'm also in the process of working on reform, because anytime you file a habeas motion, as you know, it goes back to the trial court, and the trial court is not going to admit they made a mistake.
No, they never will.
Nope. So then, you go to the appellate court and they uphold the decision of the lower court because, they couldn't have made a mistake. And then it goes to the state Supreme Court, and, two other courts have said no, so why should we say yes? And it's all based on...
They don't even review it.
Right, exactly. And I can tell you this from experience that you hit the nail right on the head, because when we filed our habeas motion with the trial court, the prosecutor's response had absolutely nothing to do with anything that we said in our motion. The judge just completely denied the motion. I'm like, there's no way you could have read that motion. There's no possible way. What you did is you read the prosecutor's response and made your decision based on the prosecutor's response. But yet nothing that we said in our motion was in the prosecutor's response. So, and that's how they're getting away with it.
Well, I think it's time for a change, Miss Rebecca. What about you?
I am 100% on board with a change. Not only do we need a change as far as how they are burying evidence or changing evidence. I'll give you an example of changing evidence. One of the cases that I handled, the prosecutor changed the time of death. He overruled the coroner and changed the time of death so that it would fit his narrative, so he could convict the person of murder because he did not have an alibi for the time of death that the prosecutor changed it to.
Now that's misconduct. And that's crazy that they can even do that.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me. In my fiance's case, they didn't even present all of the evidence. The interrogation tapes and the written statements of the quote-unquote witnesses, where one of the witnesses confessed to the murder.
Jeez.
And the detectives interrupted him. The detectives interrupted him and said, just don't tell us you did it and you're leaving here. We already have the guy. We just need you to corroborate the story. And this is all on...
Oh, they wanted your husband.
Oh, yeah, this is all on tape, but it was never presented as evidence. The prosecutor buried it. They put it under the victim's name so that he would never have access to it while he's incarcerated.
Oh, my God.
So when I tell you that there's corruption across the board, and it don't matter what city, county, state you're in, what parish you might live in, it does not matter. It's all about power and greed and making the community appear safer. So as long as the community thinks that, they're safe because, well, they just locked somebody up for murder. Or in your case, kidnapping. We got the community safe now because we got the guy. He's behind bars. Yet the real perpetrator is still out there. So how are you making the community safe? There needs to be more awareness brought to this, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, thank God for people like you, Bishop. Thank God for people like you.
My daddy was a cop in the military. My brother was a cop in the military. I've always had faith in the justice system of innocent until proven guilty, until my fiance's case. I no longer have any faith at all in the judicial system. None, because they're all corrupt. They all need to be replaced. We need to start over, and we need to start teaching them while in law school that it's not about the fancy cars and the mansions and everything else. It's about, this is real people's lives that are being ruined. You're not going to get your time back. You're not going to get that time back ever. And no amount of money is going to make up for the time that you've been behind bars. Not to mention whatever you're dealing with while you're behind bars. I understand where you're at right now. I know how that place is. So the good and the bad, the good, you're in a single man cell. So yay. The bad, you're just an animal in a cage and don't deserve anything.
I mean, you got a beam on it. Your husband definitely taught you right. That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. And then, when you're in general population in a different facility where there's more people around you, you're constantly looking over your shoulder, sleeping with one eye open, because nobody has control of the prisons. The guards think they run it, but we know they don't. We know the inmates do.
Not at all.
And only the inmates that have the money to be able to bribe the guards are the ones that run it. Whoo-wee, don't get me started.
Okay, okay, thank you. My mom said she liked you too.
Oh.
I said okay. she said you gave her a good vibe.
Oh, good.
So I said okay, I'll call.
Yeah, I was like, tell him if he needs to. I can put money on my phone because I know phone calls ain't cheap.
No, it's okay.
And when you don't have a lot of people on the outside sending money and helping out, it can be strenuous.
Yeah, it can. My mom, she take care of put so much money on the phone count that when it first started, the price change. They became real cheap, so we still got a few hundred on there.
Oh, wow.
So thank God we got that to worry about. Man.
So, now that you know a little bit about me, I know we only have a 15-minute phone call, so why...
Oh, that's okay. I got as much time as you got.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Why did they choose you? Why did they pin this on you?
I can answer that because I'm nobody. Because I'm a loner. I have no family here. I'm from Virginia, and it's not who I am. It's because what he is. It's because of who he is. He's just this guy that did this. And again, you know what, Mr. Rebecca? I can't really honestly answer that question like that. So let me just tell you what I do know. I know that it's easier for me to go to prison than him. I know that. I know he got money to kill their whole family, and I'm just a guy who worked at Honey Baked Ham and Rum. That's the honestest I can be. I really don't know. I told the detective the same thing. I don't know why they're doing this. I just know that I'm being set up. I can prove I'm being set up, but I can't tell you why because I wasn't there that day. I don't know what happened. I still don't actually know what happened, but I do know. I believe, I don't know if I know, I believe that she got into it with her roommate's boyfriend, and whatever took place, police had to be called, I know that. And when the police got there, they said 2 white guys committed this crime. Now, came here on Mother's Day and did this to 2 black girls in an all-black neighborhood, predominantly black neighborhood. They're going to be looking for these 2 white men, like they're looking for, that's how it was. So when the police realized that it wasn't 2 white guys, when there was no other witnesses to these crimes, They kept talking about, they pressed these girls for several weeks, almost went on for 2 months. And then finally, those 2 girls, I learned this only because I'm locked up now. Those 2 girls one of them was in the hospital, and the other one came with her boyfriend. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it say 1 minute.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so I was telling you that they got together, all 3 of these people got together. Like I said, I don't know how the conversation took place, but all I know is I came up as a topic. And I have a YouTube channel, and I think that's how they got familiar with me, because I don't even know her roommate or her roommate's boyfriend. I never even met them. Never even seen the roommate's boyfriend or the roommate. So I think she showed them my YouTube, and that's how that happened. That's why they picked me. I was a sucker off rip. Now, the girl who got stabbed, first of all, she's a big girl like me. You know, she's a big girl, like, she's my size. She ain't no push around. That's the first thing. She's a good con artist. She had me convinced that she was from the UK all the time.
Wow.
That was crazy. I first met her, and she spoke like, hello, governor, can I put a spot, please? She talked like that, right? That's my best British person. And I was just a dummy. You know, I just did 13 years in prison for burglaries. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was 18 years old for like 18 days. And I don't know. I hate to admit it like this. I'm a little ashamed of it, but the truth is the truth. I was from a broken home, no structure, no guidance. I was uneducated. I broke the law. I got in trouble. I felt bad that I did it, and I just told on myself, you know. And I didn't know at the time that I would do 13 years. I thought that maybe I'll get an education. You know, I didn't think that the system would just, I didn't think the system would do that. But,
lock you up and kind of throw away the key type of mentality.
Yeah. You rehabilitate if you want to. The only thing was I didn't need to rehabilitate. I was already a good soul. I just did some stupid things, you know. And of course, even to this day, I feel terrible about it because now, you know, I'm 43 now. So I know people work hard for their TVs. They ain't got VCRs no more, but you know what I mean.
I understand.
Right? You know, and I did that bull crap. And well, I'm just letting you know a part of me too. I have been to prison before, and this is why they chose me. Ask me the question, so all of this fits into that question. This girl knew this about, and I was a target. When I went to this halfway house, she already had a friend that worked there. Her name was Tanya. And what she do is she gives her the grapes on what's going on, and who got this and what's going on. And when I got there, I was all high spirited, telling people my business, telling them that I'm about to do something with my comedy career. I'm about to change people's lives, and I'm going to help people in the youth, the young people, for this mistake to never happen again. And I just think she knew I was green, she knew I was gullible, and she approached me on the city bus, already knowing who I was, you know. I just realized this 4 or 5 years ago, too, but she already approached me, and then we got friends, and after 3 or 4 days, she asked me, could I sell a little weed for her? And she only doing this because I'm in the house. Of course, if you got fresh kush in the halfway house, you sell out in 15 minutes. Of course, I didn't know that, but I found out real quick because you posted to my friend. But as far as robbing or hurting or doing any type of nonsense, no, that never happened. But that's why she picked me. She picked me because I was an easy target. They could put this on me, cops come get me. No more heat on them, no more heat on the drug dealer, and everything goes away.
So why weren't any charges brought against them for falsifying?
Because the Columbia Department just was so satisfied that it wasn't 2 white guys. And you know, to let you know too, Ms. Rebecca, I have never had any type of violence in my history. You know, I never broke in nobody's house and they was theirs. It was nothing like that. I had 1 fight in prison, so I'm not a violent person. And so I didn't understand why they did that to me. I didn't understand why they didn't believe me, even though I was telling them everything I knew. I don't know why they never brought charges against them. They treated them like they was some real, true victims, even though they knew these girls was wrong. You know, they didn't just say this was 2 white guys, 1 or twice or 3. They kept saying this. It's only when the police proved to them that it wasn't 2 white guys that they had to switch their story up, because they threatened to charge them with obstruction of justice. Right, and that's when they came up with the story. Yes, that's when they came up with it.
Tell me about the guy who said that he was there and that he knows it wasn't you. How did that come about?
Mr. Derek Watson. Okay, so I met Derek Watson in Ross Correctional Institution. And now this is a time where I just got found guilty. They gave me 22 years for something I had none, for something that's totally made up. And I was in a real bad place in my life. And again, Ms. Rebecca, I was a little ashamed to admit it, but I was thinking about suicide. I went to the local courts. I went to the appellate court. I went to the Supreme Court. Nobody's trying to hear what I have to say. and I thought that I was about to spend the rest of my life in here. And so yes, I attempted suicide. I tried to, and it didn't work. Pills didn't put me to sleep like I supposed to. Then she kind of choked me, and it was a messed up attempt, and I freaked out and I got scared. It was a bad situation. So a friend of mine, who was a friend with him, told him about it. Like, I got to get out the cell with this guy because he just tried to kill himself. And they talked about the situation, and I got to talking to him about it. Well, I got to talking to my bunkie. I got to talking to my cellmate. He just happened to be there. And he said, hold up, man. I know this girl. His accent. He got to telling me about this whole situation. That's how that happened. I didn't believe him at first. I thought he was just a junkie trying to, some of these guys are junkies, and they'll go on Lexus, look your case up and try to get in with you to try to, but it wasn't like that. No, he knew details that the police kept away from me. So he was telling the truth, for sure. And at the time, I had the Ohio Innocent Project, who wasn't doing anything for me at the time. So I sent him to them, and they checked the story out. He had an account, a Plenty of Fish account, and he said that's how he met her. So they checked it, and sure enough, yeah, he was texting her back and forth while he was in the halfway house. Yes, check this out, Miss Rebecca. While he was in the halfway house, he was selling weed for her too.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why they believed him. Like, okay, this is going to be something. Yes, that's how that came about.
And yet still, even with this guy coming forward, you still can't get any play in the court.
No, they denied me. No, I did not want to pursue with this guy. Okay, so this guy, he's filling in the blanks of the story. That's good and everything. But we never needed this guy. At the beginning of this, Ms. Rebecca, they said that my DNA was at this crime scene. That the cords that this girl said she was tied up with, they said that I tied her up, ripped the cords with my hands and my mouth, and that's how my DNA was on the cords. And they said her DNA is on the cords too. Therefore, that makes her story compelling. Well, I'm telling them, at the time, I didn't know the state would just say that. I thought somebody was setting me up. I know it sounds stupid now, but I mean, again, I didn't know. I thought somebody took a Q-tip and put it in my mouth and stole my DNA and put it there. Because I never stepped foot in this girl's apartment ever.
I reached out to both of them in our case, and I'm sorry, you don't have any DNA evidence to prove your innocence, so there's nothing we can do. And then I got told the same thing by the wrongful conviction. And I'm like, yes, but there's no evidence. That's the problem. There was no murder weapon, no fingerprints, no blood, no forensics, no nothing to prove that he did it. Just the testimony of 3 boys, that changed their story multiple times, lied on the stand to the point that the prosecutor was trying to impeach 2 out of the 3 witnesses. But the jury never knew about that because they did it in a sidebar. So it was off the record.
They're good at that.
Mm-hmm.
They're real good at keeping it away from the jury. I had a little incident with my jury. Even with them telling the jury that my DNA was at this crime, I don't think the jury liked the way they presented the DNA to them. The jury didn't like the fact that both of these girls said there was 2 white guys. And they said that the only reason they said it was 2 white guys because they was afraid of me. But I think the jury would look at it like, well, if you was afraid of him and you knew everything about him, then why did you wait 2 months to say anything? That don't make sense. So they wanted to see her second statement to the detective. But the judge told them no, that they couldn't see it. Even though they usually get to me as material, they didn't let them see it. Now, if they would have saw that, if they would have let the jury see that these girls wrote this statement, they would have saw that they changed their statement again under oath. That what they wrote in their statement wasn't what the prosecutor let them testify. So they know how to play the game.
Oh, yeah.
They know how to play the game real good.
They do. And it's sad that it's come to this because, like I said, innocent people's lives are being completely ruined. And time is being taken away from them that they can never get back. Ever. Not unless you can invent a time machine and go back in time. Now, when that day happens, well, then maybe, So where do you go from here? Are you trying to get into federal court, or are you still sticking in the state aspect, or?
Well, Ms. Rebecca, the greatest thing happened to me. Not only did I go to the feds, they accepted my case. They about to make a decision any day now. That was last year. I filed it in July. Okay, so let me give you a little update on what's going on with that. Okay, so I fired the Ohio Innocent Project in March of last year. They had spun me for the last time, and I was sick of it. The best thing they did to us in here is they gave us these tablets.
Yep.
And on these tablets, they got something called the Legal Law Library. And on the Legal Law Library, it's the whole practice and procedure of the habeas corpus. All of it, from anything you can think about is right there. And just so happened, I'm blessed to I have a good processor, and I know how to read and write. And I read the whole thing. I went through it, and I said, there's no way they can deny me unless everything is crooked. If the fence is crooked too, then hey, man, that's just what it is. So I presented everything. I wrote it out. I typed it out. Me and my mama, we went through it, and I filed it. And when you believe it, I filed that thing July the 30th. They answered me August the 12th.
Oh, wow.
Ain't that crazy? That's how simple my case is. Usually they take a year to answer you, right? To even get back to you. And that's usually a denial. They got right back to me, and they told the state to respond. You'll have to respond to this. So when the state responded to this, we were so willing to hear what they had to say. They threw that lawyer under the bus. That's the first thing they did, saying that he didn't object to this, he didn't object to that. They still said that I was guilty, and you know how the state is. They're gonna fight to the teeth. But they didn't present any evidence that said I was lying. I told the feds that, hey, we can prove that's not my DNA. Not only can we prove it's not my DNA, the state itself, its own crime lab, is telling these people that's not my DNA. The only reason your jury found me guilty is because they said they had my DNA. I know because I asked the jury at the end of trial, why did they find me guilty? They said it wasn't because the girls was compelling. It was because DNA doesn't lie. So I knew I had them right there. So the feds told them to respond. They responded. I came back with another reply to that because of some things I wanted to clear up. The state was trying to be slick about. I wanted to clear that up. And then we just waited.
Okay. So now with this...
I'm sorry.
With this motion that you filed in federal, are they going to just come back and overturn the conviction, or are they going to give you a new trial, or both?
No, you see, I don't know how that's going to work. No, I did look at the rule and how they can do it. All right, so being that this is how it explained it to me. It explained that the evidence is a coat hanger, and I'm the hook. All right, so if the evidence is no longer sufficient, there is no coat hanger. So ain't no conviction to hang on to him. They can tell him to reverse it, remand it. They can tell the state, hey, you got to give him a new trial. You got to do this again. But I doubt if that happened, being that the only thing the state had against me was that the prosecutor lied and said that my DNA was at the crime scene. They have nothing else. You don't want to put these girls back on the stand because now I know the game and I ain't going to let no punk-ass public defender represent me. I know what to say now, so I doubt it. I really don't know how it's going to go. I don't have any faith in the justice system at all. So I'm just like you. I'm thinking that the feds is trying to find some type of way to not give me what I got coming. My mom say don't think like that, but how can I not, right?
Right. I mean, it's proven time and time again with the evidence right in front of them that you didn't do it, but yet here you are still locked up.
Right.
So
and in front of the feds, they say, oh, no, I'm sorry. Please
no, go ahead.
Okay, so the feds say that they don't care about guilt or innocence, but they do let you know that they for the prosecutor, and they look at the evidence in any trier of factor belonging to the prosecution. So they're going to go off of what the last decision was made in your trial, and they review it de novo. That's how they say it. It's like a Latin term. It means from scratch. So they look at all the evidence. To be honest with you, there's no way that the feds should turn me down. Now I have to prove something because I'm time barred. And I think that's what the Ohio Innocent Project job was, to string me along until I was time barred and I can't get back in. But they have a gateway. You can use. It's called actual innocence. But actual innocence in the federal courts means factual innocence. So you have to bring some type of exculpatory evidence to this. Well, I got that. It's called DNA. And this exculpatory evidence got to say two things. It got to say, one, the evidence that was used at trial is now called into question. The second thing is, did the jury make their decision based on the evidence that was used at trial? And if so, did it affect their verdict? Well, yeah, I got them beat twice, right? I got them beat on both of these things. And so that's what we at now. Now, this is what happened to me, Miss Rebecca. Let me tell you what happened. After we did this, I fired the OIP. I filed my habeas corpus by myself. It's me and my mom. No lawyers, no none of that shit. Just good old-fashioned common sense and hard work, right? I filed this thing myself. And here comes the CIU out of Cleveland. They got a wrongful conviction clinic. Her name is Laura Gregg. And she showed up with an assistant, with a contract ready to represent me all of a sudden. I've been contacting these people for years. All of a sudden, here she is with this contract saying, how you doing, Mr. Lundy? We got your letter. Sorry that we late. Oh, my God, we can't believe this happened to you. We want to represent you. I ain't going for it this time. I usually have a good spirit. I make a joke and make everybody comfortable. But this time, fuck that. Right? Sorry to use bad language.
No, you're fine.
But I just wasn't going. So she says, Mr. Lundy, we see that you filed a habeas corpus I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, listen, we got Derek Watson. He's locked back up. And we believe that if we filed a 33P right now in front of these judges, we can get this thing rolling. We can get this. But we have a small window and a small opportunity. So we got to do this now. I said, well, don't you think that you should have went to holler at Derek Watson before you come to talk to me? She said, well, we don't represent you. I said, and yet, here you go, talking to me about it. Something that I didn't even write you about. I wrote you about the misconduct and the malicious prosecution that's going on in this country. I wrote y'all about the dirty bullshit that this judge did to me. And y'all here talking about a witness that's not reliable. So she folded her arms and told me, well, the Supreme Court has never even made a decision based on actual innocence. So I said, oh, so you did read it. And now I see that these are not my friends.
Right.
They're here to stop this. So I said, if I sign that with you today, what's the process? She said, well, the first thing I'm going to do is file something called an ambience motion to stop the habeas corpus. You're wrong. I said, I'm not ever putting aside my habeas corpus. That's not going to happen. And so she kind of got a little attitude and said, well, Mr. Lundy, I'm not trying to discourage you, but you know how hard it is to win in a federal court? I said, I read it. It's almost impossible to win. It told me. I said, but yet I got in, and the look on her face let me know that I'm on the right track here. I'm not that dumb 18-year-old kid that drove around with the detective and told on himself. I see what's going on now. I have graduated, and she took an hour trying to convince me to sign with her. I have never had a lawyer even cared about my case, and all of a sudden I got one down here as pretty as a dandelion trying to get me to sign with her. Absolutely not.
Because she knows that your case has merit and that more than likely it's going to get overturned, and then all she saw was dollar signs.
Yes.
Because I'm sure somewhere in that contract it said something to the effect of, we're going to handle your case, but when you get your settlement, we take 33 1/3%.
It said 38 1/3.
Oh.
You know what's going on. You know what's going on here. Okay, you know what's going on. So listen, I thought that, Miss Rebecca. I thought that that's what she was chasing. Oh, that's not what she was doing. So this corruption runs deep. What she was doing was she was trying to save her colleague's ass. All right, so when she did this, she said set aside so she can do the thing with Derek Watson and all this and all that. So I said, hold up, you don't want to help me with my habeas corpus? And she said no, because that was not prosecution misconduct, nor was that ineffective assistance of counsel. I said, well, how long have you been doing this? She said 10 years. I said, you need to go back to school because I can prove to a federal judge that your prosecutor, and see her response when I said your prosecutor, I said your prosecutor is using DNA, telling the jury that was my DNA. I have proof right here. You can't even argue with this evidence at all. Because it's from the same crime lab that said I couldn't be. Now they said they messed up. I can't be excluded. So that's misconduct. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We left on bad terms.
Okay. So now when you go into court, in the federal court, are you representing yourself pro se?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, with your experience with your public defender in the state court, what makes you think that a public defender in the federal court isn't going to do the exact same thing?
They will. I don't even need a lawyer. I'm pretty sure that they're going to assign me one because that's just how it is. That's how they do that. But I'll be sure to let them know that I really don't need your help, to be honest with you. If you want to reverse the case and remand it back to the court, I can do this myself. Like I said, Ms. Rebecca, I don't think for a second that they're going to reverse and remand it. If they do say I deserve a new trial, they're not going to reverse and remand it because there'll be nothing the state can do. I mean, what can they say? I'll sit in the county for a couple of weeks maybe until they dismiss it, but they know this case is no evidence. There's no evidence because there was no crime committed, period. No, the dude stabbed that girl up. Maybe there was no knife ever found. Even the doctor said he thought it was from a fingernail file, like a girl fight. So you don't know if she got to fight with him, she got to fight with her. You don't really know. But yeah, to answer your last question was proceed. Yes, I am. I'm doing this proceed.
That's good. We need more people to do that because in my fiance's case, I had called an attorney and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. This is the evidence I have. This is what they used at trial. They didn't use any of this. It was exculpatory evidence, would have proved his innocence. Can you help me? And he was like, well, wrongful conviction cases are nearly impossible to overturn. So I'll take a retainer of $20,000, and I'm like, you'll take a retainer of what? He was like, yeah, I need at least $20,000 just to take the case. He said, that's not what it's going to cost you, but that's what I need to agree to take the case. I'm like, you're out your mind. Like,
out your mind.
Yeah, you think people got 20 grand just laying around just to hand over to you? And are you serious right now? There's an innocent man sitting in prison. And he's like, well, it really doesn't matter because the courts aren't going to overturn it anyway.
So why did you even say what you wanted? Why put a price on it? Does that?
Right.
They're the criminals. They're the gangsters.
Exactly. And they're all one big happy family because some way, somehow, they all know each other. Be it the country club or playing golf or out for drinks or whatever. They all know each other. And they're not going to get their friends in trouble. So they're just going to take that nice little paycheck.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even a paycheck, but Rebecca, sometimes it's just out of loyalty. So what I did was, me and my mom, we did our research. My lawyer that they gave me from the Ohio Innocence Project. Now, the Ohio Innocence Project told me the same thing they told you until that DNA evidence came out. Then I didn't even have to write to them. They came hollering at me, but they never used it. Now, if you read my motions, that the Ohio Innocence Project did, you'll read how she put this DNA in there, how she said it wasn't his, and it's a mental state case, and she sounds like a true warrior. But what she didn't tell me was she filed a 33B, and that means specific newly discovered evidence. So it don't matter if she said, look, the court's messed up here, this and this DNA, it doesn't matter because all the court is going to hear is the new DNA. The new evidence that you bring, and the new evidence that you bring is Derek Watson, who will not show up. No, at first he was showing up, but they took 27 months to file my, when I gave them that information with Derek Watson, they took 27 months to file that motion. 27 months. They took another 20-something months just to tell me I was denied. I didn't understand that then. But I understand now they was just buying time, so I would be time barred from filing anything else. They did that on purpose. So we did some research, come to find out that my prosecutor and that lawyer from the Ohio Innocence Project graduated the same month, same year, and attended the same ceremony. No way they don't know each other. And they both named Jennifer.
Right.
I'm so glad that your name is Rebecca. It's not Jennifer. Oh my God.
Yeah,
those people, listen, they are. You know better than me. Y'all been doing this for, your fiance been fighting this for how long, you said? 20 years?
Yeah, he's been locked up almost 20 years now.
And if he was down here in Lucasville, then the reason he do know me is because I complain every day to every officer, they can hey, pick that broom up and sweep that. I'm not sweeping that shit. I'm an innocent man. I do 100%. I complain. I'm not surprised that he knows me. But these people with these games that they play. So if it wasn't for that legal law library, I wouldn't even know half the stuff that they did. It shouldn't be misconduct. It should be illegal. It should be illegal to do that, and it's not right.
And that's another reason why.
I'm so glad people like you.
Yeah, that's exactly another reason why I am doing what I am doing, because these people that are putting innocent people behind bars to further their career need to be held accountable. Be it the prosecutor, be it the detectives, be it the judge, I don't care. You committed a crime. You need to be punished.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Speaking of detectives.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no.
No, go ahead.
Speaking of detectives, this detective on my case, he knew something was up. He kept me in that interrogation room for 8 hours straight. I took a lie detector test that lasted for 4 hours, and I passed it. Flying colors. They asked me the questions this way. They asked me the questions this way. They asked me backwards. They asked me this way. It doesn't matter how many times you try to ask. I'm going to tell you the truth because I only know the truth. I passed the test. The two girls failed the test, and they still prosecuted me. So the prosecutor came up with a clever way, a real tactical advantage of. What she did was, she knew that detectives would not be on the stand and would not bring up that he thinks it was the boyfriend. He 100% believed in his heart it was the boyfriend. So what they did was, didn't even call their lead detectives to testify. Have you even heard of a case where they don't call their lead detective, two persons presented all this evidence to them, they didn't even call him to testify? And so when my lawyer, when I wanted to call, I said, let's call the detective. You ain't never heard of a defendant saying, let's call the detective to the case stand, right? So when I said that, my lawyer started to understand that I knew what I was doing, and he just got cold on me. He just stop talking to me. He'll tell me all these good things, and then when we go in there, he would freeze up and don't say anything. And if I tried to push his arm or say something, the sheriff would stand up and tell me to behave myself, or they'll gag and put me in a room and I'll go to court on a computer. So there's no way of winning with these people. And thank God for the federal court. Now, Miss Rebecca, I don't know federal court are the real. That's my only problem. If I knew for sure that the federal court don't play that and they make the state do what's right, then I would be sitting here with my arms crossed, thinking about how I'm going to embarrass them every day and how I'm going to spend the millions they about to give me. But I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know if they all plotting and that's their friends and they sitting around like, all right, how we going to do this because y'all fucked up bad this time. And this is not a situation where this is insufficient evidence or just mere inconsistency. No. This is not about guilt or innocence. I can prove to you that these people did this on purpose, that they created their own evidence and said, we're just going to use it. You could have went and did a background check on me. You would have found out that I never had a violence. I never even raised my voice at a woman. You would have realized that I'm not a violent man at all. Nobody would have told you that. They didn't even do that. Not one time. Not one time.
Now
they
during
didn't do an investigation. And then no, please.
During trial, did they bring up your prior conviction?
No.
Okay.
No, only at sentence. No, they did. Trial was real fast, real short, and it was great.
Did it last 2 days or 3 days?
It lasted 3 days.
Yeah.
It lasted 3 days.
I'm seeing a pattern.
3 days. I went. They did first responders, doctors, both for the victims, / witnesses, / lying ass, fork-tongue ass witness. Let me tell you this too. Now, the girls that testified against, they've been to prison twice. They met each other in prison. They was cellmates. They would not let me present that to the jury.
That's crazy.
Right. I wanted to show them, hey, listen, these girls know the game. they tricking you. So I tell my lawyer, are you going to say anything? Let me tell you what he does. After the prosecutor makes them look like flying angels, he gets up there and asks the girl who got stabbed. He said, excuse me, have you ever spoken in a British accent to my client? She said, no. He said, no further questions, John. No, I'm pretty sure he did that. Why would you ask her that in front of a jury who had no idea that she spoke to me in a British accent? I never told him anything.
And how was that relevant to the case?
It's not.
Exactly.
In any shape, form, or fashion relevant. Yeah. This is the game they play. So there's no love in the state. Okay, let's move past that. Ohio Innocent Project. Now, I exhausted all my remedies. I did what I was supposed to do. First time was, how you get found guilty. He did nothing for me. He filed some whatnots and whatever, and that was the end of it. They denied it. And he abandoned me. So I had to hurry up. And I ain't never been to law school before, but I had to hurry up and file something to the Supreme Court, or I would have not exhausted my remedies, right? So I understood that part. I hurried up. I went to the law library. I did what I had to do. I sent it to the Supreme Court. They didn't even hear it. They made a decision not to make a decision. So,
It's so bad. The corruption and the non-caring of the courts to actually uphold the laws is so bad. I used to be like, this would totally blow my mind. Like, how in the world in the United States is this happening? But it doesn't surprise me anymore. And that's sad to me. My fiance's public defender was fighting his own legal battle for his law license during trial. Mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, the public defender for his appeals never appealed his conviction. He only appealed the sentencing. Then he filed an Anders brief, which totally screwed us of everything. And that was done just a few years after his conviction. So if he would have filed an Anders brief, you would think that he would have done some kind of investigation. We could have found these things years ago, but he didn't do anything. He just filed an Anders brief and threw up his hands, and that was that. We finally hired an attorney to file the habeas motion at the trial court. She filed the motion. They came back with their rebuttal, and then we didn't hear from her for 5 months. And when she came back to us in 5 months, it was, I need $10,000 more because I want to fight this from a perspective of actual innocence.
Right. Actual innocence.
Okay.
She was playing you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know all the rules to it. She was playing you anyway. If you would have gave her that, the courts would have told you that you would have to have exculpatory evidence that's right. That's how she played you. You already used this in trial. So it wouldn't have been new evidence, and she would just got you for $10,000, and they would have said, oh, well, he didn't bring nothing new. This was already used.
Yep.
I know the game now. I know the game now. That's just messed up. Seems like we got a lot of comedy here.
Markale Lundy's case is a heartbreaking example of how the justice system can fail the very people it's meant to protect. For 2 months, the victims of this crime described 2 white suspects, but Markale, a black man, was convicted instead. DNA evidence that could have exonerated him was buried, and his public defender refused to fight for him. This is why we need reform. Next week, we'll continue our conversation with Markale Lundy and dive even deeper into his fight for freedom. We'll also discuss the next steps in his case and how you can help. Don't miss it. If you're as outraged by this case as we are, here's how you can help. Visit wickedlyjudged.com to learn more about Markale's case. Submit a case for us to investigate, or make a donation. Your support will help fund Markale's fight for freedom and allow Wickedly Judged to take on more cases like his. Every dollar makes a difference. You can always email us directly at wickedlyjudged@gmail.com to share your thoughts, submit a case, or get involved in our advocacy efforts. Together, we can make a difference. Once again, thank you to Veteran Alliance for sponsoring this episode, and to JP Verse of Versifier Records for our intro and outro music. Your support means the world to us.